session will be recorded. And everyone, let's welcome Guy Cihi.
Thank you. I'm going to get my presentation up here just a minute and then walk you through that. I wish I could say it was available in the App Store to download and play now, but it's not. So you can go to the website and check it out, but it should be available for beta testing later this month. And so if you're interested in that, I'm going to share my email address with you. You're welcome to write to me and say, I want to be part of your beta testing team. And I'll be very happy to add you to the list. You can play it with your students and play it yourself. And tell me what you like and what you'd like to see more of. How's that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there's my email address. There's a QR code there to the website, and the preview video is right on the website as well. I would like to start, I'm going to start with the preview video. Or has everyone seen that? I'll skip it if everyone's seen it.
I've seen it. I'm not sure if other people have seen it.
It's worth watching again because it's cool.
I've seen it, but I'm happy to watch it again.
All right, let's see if I can get it. It's not responding to my link request, so we'll have to switch gears here and go to this and go to that. Okay, this is the website. There's the preview video. If you want to watch it in Japanese, switch it to Japanese, but we want to watch it in English. So we're going to see if what happens here. It's going to take us to a YouTube channel. So we'll.
Did you know that 1/3 of the Earth's entire population plays mobile games? And the average player spends about 7.5 hours a week playing mobile games. 90% of mobile game players are ages 16 to 65, and 60% are female. There are two paths before us. We can continue to ignore the influence that mobile games have on society, or we can create games that benefit humanity. Words and Monsters is a free mobile game for mastering the English language. People who play it say this is fantastic. New players start by choosing their character. Enter a Sensei gift code and get 45 crystals free. The tutorial describes how to play. The game automatically adjusts to your ability, regardless of whether you're a beginner or a native speaker. There are 14,000 words and phrases in the database covering 99% of all English words ever written or spoken, including for all the major proficiency tests. Every player studies their own words at their own level of ability. The player we are following is on the left, and his personal learning tasks are at the bottom of his screen.
Sorry, I keep messing around with it. There you go.
Lemon. Apartment.
Now, if you're a Japanese player,
Rainbow.
the paired associates are not going to be learners' definitions, but they're going to be Japanese translations or Japanese definitions of the word.
Imagination. Huge.
We are watching it played in multiplayer mode or group battle. So there's our player is on the left side and 3 other people have joined to play. It's pretty complicated when you first see what's happening, but most games are when you first look at somebody else's version of it.
Cost.
You can play the game by yourself as well. You don't need to join a multiplayer battle.
If we beat the monster, we all win crystals. Donate crystals to win powerful weapons and accessories for your character. After each battle, we can check all of the words we studied. Team leaders can create groups, join tournaments, and monitor learning progress. Words and Monsters will be released in spring of 2021. Check out the Words and Monsters website at free.wordsandmonsters.com and be sure to register to be notified when the game is released. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's my my daughter doing that narration. She's out in the world working now, and she's an actor and a voice talent. And she just got a really nice apartment and bought her first adult furniture. She's the voice of Verizon now, the big phone company in the United States. And they pay her a lot of money. She's on a 5-year contract, renewable. And so she's really, really happy. I said, hey, famous daughter, can you do my narration for me? I'm tired of hearing my voice. And she jumped in. Thank her for that. So let me go in without further delay into the game. Wouldn't it be fantastic if our students could quickly learn thousands of new words simply because it's fun? And that it would be fantastic, but it's not easy to do. It's easy to create, well, it's not easy, but it is possible to create software that will teach thousands of words in a very short amount of time. But to make it fun is a whole different order of magnitude. I've been working on this a long time, as Charlie knows, with Charlie. And we started together in this, making it efficient to acquire vocabulary knowledge, and the most important vocabulary knowledge, as fast as possible. And I've been doing that with many clients around the world who use our software called Word Engine to do that. But making it motivating is a different kind of challenge. I think we've pretty much nailed the most efficient way to acquire meanings and sounds and gramophones, the way a word is written, right? That part we've got it down now. Maybe we can cut another couple of milliseconds off of the average pace by mucking around with transition speeds and stuff like that. But how to get people to want to come in and do it other than their teacher is encouraging them, or their teacher is part of their grade, or they're on a team with other students in a competition or stuff like that. So there's all kinds of, and I was thinking about all of that and researching it. And then I'll jump ahead in the slides. I met this guy, and I met the CEO of this game. And what I found out was that the way that psychological rewards work for human beings is like how this game is oriented, this Puzzle and Dragons game. A Puzzle and Dragons is a 9-year-old game that has 15 million hours a day. So there's 15 million hours a day are spent on this game. As you try and process that, I mean, there's only 25 or 20, it's about 25 million active players, but they're monthly active players. So how does this game, and they play for years, how does this game sustain their interest to do basically the same thing over and over again, match these 3 gems in a row? Well, that's what this guy, Paul Howard Jones, has got the best research to explain how the mechanics of the brain chemistry for emotional attachment. So I studied long with in this area and basically took the word engine and put that in the bottom of the screen. There's, instead of matching 3 crystals, we're going to be matching English words and English word sounds and English closed sentence tasks with either the words or, in this case, Japanese paired associates. So that's our learning science, which has come from Word Engine and is well proven. But the game science was all new for me. It was fascinating stuff. And there is science to it, this science of psychological excitement to sustain emotional attraction. The street word for that is addiction, right? The mental addiction to these games. So the paired associate tasks are the learning science. Then there's a blend of visual, that's on the left, and oral in the center, and contextual tasks. And yes, This is primarily receptive knowledge we're talking about, but that'll be the first stage. There's another game component where you talk, thanks to these AIs that are available from people. My people are ex-Microsoft people, and they rent it out pretty cheap. They can break down your speech issues or opportunities, let's call them, to the phone level, certainly at the phoneme level. And then you can remediate specific phonetic opportunities of finding out which particular phonemes your learners are expressing in less than intelligible ways is quite easy for them. So, but this is the bulk of the game, is the receptive component. So students are learning by matching words and meanings, or sounds and meanings, and by making mistakes. And this is a critical aspect. It's often overlooked, but if you're playing that and you know everything, you're not learning anything. You're just, you're enjoying the game. You have to have material that you don't know that's being introduced. And of course, we've all hopefully heard of Krashen and I+1. There's a ratio of noumena and phenomena, what is known, the noumena, and the phenomena, what is not known. And there's an ideal ratio where, this gets into Csikszentmihalyi's work, the psychologist of positive psychology, and he coined the expression flow psychology, where it's above my boredom level and below my frustration level. They're all, and then you get into Howard Jones's work, same thing. There's this like magic ratio where it's interesting and intriguing to the brain, not overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming, they'll turn off. If it's too boring, they'll turn off. And so how can you maintain that flow channel for players at all different levels of ability? What we do, our learning science, starts with corpus analysis to identify which are the most important words. That's a tiny little diagram. I'm going to zoom in on if I can so you can see that close up. And if you imagine that each vocabulary word is a dot in this kind of gray cloud, there are 13,384 individual meanings that make up 99.5% of all English language discourse and writing. And the ones in the center, the dark ones, those are the super high frequency words, or like the first 2,000 words. And they're quite common. They're shared between different domains. But if you look at something like TOEFL and TOEIC, they're skewed off in their own little universe. And business English is in a certain, it's using many of the words, but not using all of the words of that constitute general English. So this is quite important. And I learned this thanks to Charlie and Brent's work, that when it comes to vocabulary, once you get past the first 2,000, 2,500 words, it pays to specialize, to look at, well, what are the high, if I'm preparing for TOEFL or TOEIC, what are the high frequency words of TOEIC, TOEFL? So the only way to do this is to scan the tests and count the words. And they do have very specific personalities, these different tests. And so does the Hensachi, by the way, for the score that's given for your junior high school and high school students in Japan will be shooting for college entrance exam, or the Nushi. I'm kind of glad they didn't cancel all those tests, because we put a lot of time in on scanning them all and figuring it out. The next is this patented diagnostic, which again, Charles and Brent and I worked on developing together, which identifies each learner's known words and each learner's unknown words, the specific words, not just how many words they may know, but which words they know and which words they don't know. And this is where we learned that the correlation between the words people know and frequency is quite low. It's about 0.6 R squared, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And so essentially it's useless. And I give, contentious talks about why the VST vocabulary size test and the vocabulary levels tests can never be fixed, because they're inherently flawed. But I'm not going to go down that path today. I'll just say we have a way of doing it that's quite efficient, and that allows you to tailor the materials to each particular learner so that we can keep them in that flow channel. We're going to give them 80% words that they know, and we'll let them use the words they know to define the words that they don't know, and 20% words they don't know constantly being flowed in. And the words that are being flowed in are the most frequently occurring words they don't know for the subject they've selected, whatever it might be. It's quite fascinating work, but if you're still awake, let me keep going. Let me keep going. And then we're going to teach with the paired associate tasks, and we're going to integrate spaced repetition to deepen memory of what you're learning. So that's the learning science on our side. And then we go into the game science, which I jumped ahead earlier, and I looked around to benchmark, which is the best game for me to benchmark. And I wasn't actually looking for it. I just stumbled on this guy, Taizo's son, who happens to be the younger brother of Masayoshi's son, who happens to be the CEO and founder of SoftBank. So he had a lot of money to throw at this game business that he owned called Gung Ho. And it took him 7 years to come up with a winner, and that game was Puzzle and Dragons. Taizo's son didn't actually do any of the work. He had a CEO, and it was 6 young Japanese guys, and they came up with this game. And it shot to the top, and it's been the #1 game ever since. It is the most played game in the history of games. I'm trying to process that. You probably never even heard of it. There's nothing that comes close. Candy Crush Saga is a distant 3rd or 4th place. Amazing. But what's more interesting is how it retains players. So essentially, you've got a role play game at the top and match 3 tasks at the bottom. And he started talking to me about after I was at this conference and I met him, and I was like, I want to learn more about how this works. And he said, well, about 5% of the players are just they're just totally crazy for it. You can't stop them. And then the rest just play. And then there's, the people who drop off that don't play. And that kind of stuck in my mind because our experience with Word Engine is when they're asked to do it by their teacher, about 5% of the students go crazy. They just love it. They do much more than they were asked. There's something about that interesting ratio of known and unknown that just intrigues them. And then 80% do what they're asked, which is nice. And then there's the antichrists at the bottom, who they will try and screw up everything if they can. They just don't want to do anything. So, but that's compulsory education, right? They're not there because they want to be there. They're there because they have to be there. And but it was interesting to me that it's that same little tiny cohort that just really get into it because of the mechanics of it. So I'm hoping that holds true. But and then this fellow, me having an engineering background, it was easy to talk to listen to him and talk to him about how this works, because it's brain chemistry, but it's mechanical in its way. It's like you get a jolt of dopamine and you get a second jolt if you do it this way. So if you were running uncertain rewards instead of certain and unexpected rewards, you get a double jolt. So you can jack it up to 1.5 times normal reward dopamine metrics. And I was like, well, that appeals to my engineering brain. So yeah, okay, we're going to do that. So here's an example of an uncertain reward. You got 4 players working together to defeat a monster. Each of us is working on our own personal list of words at our own level. So some of these players might be 7-year-old Japanese kids, and they're a lot faster than I am, hand and eye acuity and speed. And because they're working on words at their level, 80% they know, 20% they don't know, there's really no advantage for me at my level, because I'm also working with words that are 80% I know and 20% I don't know. So it's kind of fun in that way. You can join with people at different levels and play them and become a ranked player and so forth. And you don't know if you're going to beat the monster or not. There's a timer at the top. You have to defeat the monster within that time. That's the monster's HP or health power. And so each time you get a correct response, a CR, your character and its accessories and weapon have a total attack power, and you might be higher or lower, but it'll hit the monster and cause some reaction. I think you saw that earlier when we were looking at the video. If we beat the monster, it creates an opportunity for us to get a reward. And if you're defeated, there's no reward. However, in this game, the reward values are uncertain. It depends on the results during the battle and your luck in choosing your reward. So in this case, the player on the left has received the expert medal and the battle medal, both. He was the player who did the most damage to the monster and got the most, correct responses during the battle. So he's like double ranked top. So his reward bags are gold. That's like, whoa, if you see gold reward bags after the battle, you're going to get a big shot of dopamine. You don't know what's coming in those bags, but you know it's going to be the max payout possible. And then second place, third place, fourth place, we all win, which I like this about this game. It's like Japanese, right? We all win together. But our rewards are going to be based on how much work we did, which makes sense. I mean, if you did the most work. So you'll see the other players, their pedestal will be, easy to spot. If you were to click on one of those players, you get a pop-up showing details about them, no personal details, but their player rank and their equipment and their nickname they use in the game, stuff like that. Now, for teachers, we have a whole different kind of thing going on. At some point I realized, well, this is like a lot different than what we've been doing for the past 10 years, trying to help teachers be more efficient and more effective in teaching. This is I need to motivate the teachers to have fun with this too. Why should only the students have fun with it? And I've never met a teacher yet, and maybe like one strange, weird guy who actually, he also used Word Engine to study English for himself. But most English language teachers, maybe this will resonate with you, the last thing they want to do is study English language, right, themselves. So they never really actually use any of these English learning products themselves. So they don't really know much about how they work. They might pretend to test them or something, but they don't actually regularly use them. When was the last time any of you guys were out, studying vocabulary, English vocabulary to improve your life or something? Not likely to happen. And yet there are games that do that. I mean, there's a game called Words with Friends, which is a very popular game. And there's always been crossword puzzles. There was always that cohort of the population that liked playing those when we had print media. So there's some kind of percentage of the population that has a disposition toward word games. So maybe there's some people out there who, like that one guy, he liked to do it. But so I thought, well, I need to have some kind of meta game. Let's call it a meta game that recognizes teachers for their contributions by introducing students and motivating them to continue using it. And so we, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but we've created this kind of meta game with its own little world of stuff. But more practically, there's a very advanced progress monitor for each student who's interacting with the game or playing the game. This is the one that we use for the premium product, Word Engine. So it's got all kinds of bells and whistles. You can see exactly how many words they had when they started, how many words, that's the light blue, in this case, 1,828 words for Yahagi-san. And you can see exactly how many minutes they've spent in a day, in a week, in a month, in the semester. You can see how many words, how their current score has increased. Like, for example, we have all of the subdomains in there: TOEIC, TOEFL, NUSHI, IELTS. I have one for SEFR now, and it'll show you, well, look, this level of vocabulary correlates to this current score, and the scores are phenomenally accurate. It's when I talk to people who actually look at this component on it, they're always so blasé about it. Like, oh yeah, these are very accurate scores. And for me, it's like, the likelihood that you could diagnose or project an accurate score for these very expensive tests simply by knowing which vocabulary words a person knows and doesn't know, it's kind of amazing, really, when you think about it. But yeah, there it is. So you get that too. Then you can make these tests for use in class. People are always asking me, oh, gee, can't we make this like an online activity? And the answer is, I don't really think that's the right way to do it. I mean, basically, that's what the game is doing. Is it's letting them interact with words online. What you want to do is confirm that they're actually retaining the knowledge in some other format. In this case, it's paper, but there's another kind of test you can put out, which is for pair work or group work in the class, that where while each student is individually working on their own needs, their own word list, playing the game or playing with each other, these paper tests can be output. The answer key is common. The one we're looking at is an English version, but there's an English-Japanese, a bilingual version, which is probably more well liked with the students. I would, just quickly point out, I mentioned earlier, you see that the Japanese will normally going to play in a cross-cultural paired associates from English to Japanese. I did run a program, a test with Chinese students a few years back, a controlled research project to see if learning in English with the learner's definitions had any merits versus learning English with Chinese definitions. And it was interesting to the results of the test were that, and of course, as they always say, more tests are required to validate this, but the interesting part was they learn more words, more new vocabulary. They learn and retain more new English vocabulary studying in Chinese than they do studying English. And that makes sense because they have to read more English words and it's less familiar to them. And so they have to process more foreign language to respond. So they're able to do it faster from English to Japanese. And then there was the guy who was running it looked at reading speed and not reading the words from the learning app, but specifically just general reading speed, I guess, with graded readers. And he found that there was a measurable increase in reading speed. So while they were acquiring less vocabulary, studying vocabulary in English, their average reading speed was slightly increased by studying with English, which is not surprising if you think about it. I mean, if you study 1,000 words with this learning approach, you actually have to process about 8 to 1. So you would have to process 8,000 words in English to complete the study of 1,000 words in English. So that obviously, if you're doing 8,000 words of reading and listening, you're going to be improving both listening and reading skills as well. So back to the 4 teachers component, and that pretty much wraps it up. There are some other activities for teachers, but I don't have them all fleshed out now. One of them is the story behind this photo, which this is the winning team of students. They were in a team challenge, which we conducted. So I guess it was the year before last. I used to say last year, but it's the year before last now. And it was a national tournament, or actually a global tournament. So they were able to play against teams around the world. And the 2 young ladies in the front holding the mug cup and the certificate, and they've all got Kit Kat bars and so on. They were out at TIU, Tokyo International University. So I was able to run out for the day to award them their prizes. And they were, these just cute little young ladies there sitting there, and man, they worked hard. They were doing like 2 hours a day in the final part of that tournament because they wanted to win. And so I learned a lot from that. I had been researching Robert Slavin's work on TGT, cooperative learning, to try and find ways to motivate students to do more. And that's Catherine, the teacher. I said, what was it like, Catherine? And she said, well, it really changed it from individual self-study to a team effort where, like these boys in the back, the clowns there on the left, they had to do it more because they were holding back the team. And so it was like peer pressure. It was very interesting. I'm sure that there's a lot could be written about the social dynamics that took place in that class as they realized, my gosh, we could win this thing if just you guys would pick up the pace. And they're whatever. So maybe they did. They all kind of picked up the pace in the last weeks, and they crushed the competitors. So that team challenge is an integral part of the new game, obviously. If you go to the website for the game, I'll close this up. I had it open earlier. There we go. You can see everything I've just said is somewhere on this website. Like there's this whole section for teachers. The writing and speaking components are described in Club Pangeo because they're different than the receptive components. The natural flow learning section talks about the research and science behind what we're doing. Oops. Our company's founders, including Charlie Brown, who's on with us today, natural motivation. And if you're interested, I don't have all the papers cited here, but I will cite them. That's fascinating stuff. There's Slavin, the flow state, Csikszentmihalyi, crashing. And then this whole stuff about absolute lexical ability, how to identify which words someone knows and which words they don't know. There's Brown and Culligan cited for that. And the pair associates and spaced repetition. This is real old stuff. Spaced repetition, if you haven't read about it, just Google it. It's pretty cool. It's a hack, a brain hack for memorizing. But there's a lot of recent research on it. There's Stuart, McLean. And then, there's research to prove this learning science and so on. But then you get into this whole new area, which I've really been fascinated with, is the science of motivation, the brain chemistry of motivation. So Howard Jones's work and Fiorello's works, fascinating stuff. And then down here with the cooperative learning in Slavin we had the team produced 50% higher study progress in the year when there was a team tournament going on. In the same group, same teacher, when there wasn't a tournament, even though they were all, the same kind of students and into it to the same degree, 50% less performance. So this kind of like mutual support network, the psychology of working with your classmates, has an amazing effect on motivation. So of course, we put that into the game as well. For teachers, I think I covered pretty much where we are there. You just identify yourself as a teacher and register when you have the app. And then who's WAM for? It's for anybody. Second language learning, native speakers, it really doesn't matter. It's got vocabulary at every level. It's basically down here in the foundation of cognition, the remembering, understanding, and applying, and not in the concepts and ideas at the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And I'm proud to be there. So select courses. I didn't get into this, which courses are available. I just hinted at it, but I'm going to try if I have. Oh, good. We have about 10 more minutes. I'll show you the actual game. Okay, so let's stop. You can always look at this later. Just go to freewordsandmonsters.com. And there's all that information there. But now I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to turn my computer around so you can look at my desk. And I'm going to open the game. So hopefully you can hear me and see the game and hear the game. So this is the top page, or the title page. There's the I'm a teacher button. So if you want to register and get accounts and a group set up for your class or for your whole school, you tap there. If you're a new player, you'll click here and register an account. But if you're in a school and the school teacher has set it up for you, you just go to login. Obviously, everything's in Japanese or Portuguese or Russian or German or whatever. But for here, we're looking at Japanese. It'll remember you when you log in. And you see the home page. And the home page has pretty much links to everything that you need to do. This is the study progress button. And we're going to tap on that and have a look at that because I wanted to show you the special courses that are available. So I'm going to select from the menu of special courses that are available. There's an explanation about the special courses. And just to be clear, everything that we're seeing in English is available in Japanese as well. But I'm going to leave it in English so I don't get too lost here. Okay, and go back to the special courses. I want to look at this is what we have. If you tap on a title, it'll explain how the course was created, what materials were scanned to identify the vocabulary, etc. So it's TOEIC, TOEFL, IELTS, CEFR, ACAN. This is the Japanese entrance exams, the Nyushi, that used to be the Center Shiken. But we also did all the March, the top universities of Japan. We scanned years of their tests to find their particular lexical profiles. It's a mess, but we did it. But the more interesting thing about this one, I think I'll enable that, is that it shows you a Hensachi score. So the junior high school and high school students, that's attractive for them to be able to see the Hensachi. Business English, the SAT, GRE, that's not very popular for Japanese, obviously, but daily conversation, this is kind of goes beyond vocabulary, but it applies the same theory of, say, frequency. So we were, if you read about how this course was composed, we looked at the most popular ESL, EFL conversation textbooks and extracted the functions and expressions that are most common to them all, and then put them into a course. So there's 200 in there. Presentations is a popular subject, internal meetings, business negotiations, and hospitality, which is in Japanese is what are they called? Omotenashi. Omotenashi. Okay, so you can activate any one of these at a time, but you can switch between them anytime you want. So if I want to see the entrance exams for the Hensachi. So then I'll see my general English score. So the dark blue is where I started, 613 words, which is pretty low. That's where most of your people who don't particularly like English are going to be. And I've almost 300 words with this account. My general English designation is beginner. But my special score, see, I don't have enough words yet to even get on the Hensachi. It would probably be a 15 or a 10 if they went that low. If you tap on the test scores button, you'll see, based on your total vocabulary, what would be your scores and where are you in relation to all of the tests. Okay, so that's your study progress page. Now I've engaged this entrance exam as my special course. So that means when I go to study, which is under the battle button, the words I'll be studying are going to be prioritized by frequency on the Nyushi and Center tests. Just a little bit more about this page. That's me, or my player's avatar. When I started out, I chose this model. There are 9 different avatars you can choose, and then lots of ways to decorate them. This is the collection of stuff I've acquired while playing the game. If any one of you who plays these kind of games, RPGs, understands exactly what all this is about. There's headgear, there's body wear, and these are the monsters that I've defeated so far and the monsters that I haven't defeated. If you tap on any one of these, it gives you a description of the monster and some information about how that will help you in the strategy for defeating them. Let's see, where else can I go? There's my level, that's based on how much study I've done, and my rank, which is based on how effective I am in battling players. We use rank to match you with other players and with monsters. So if you're a high ranked player, you're going to play with other high ranked players. That prevents the slaughter of newbies from happening. Again, if you guys play any kind of games, you know that if you're new to a game and you get matched up against an expert player, it's very disappointing. So you don't want that to happen. And so this game, we match players. If I went into a group battle or a random battle with players on the internet, they would probably be ranked 6 players like I am. So that way we all have an equal chance of being first or second place in the victorious battle. Level, on the other hand, each level is 200 correct responses. So it's a way of measuring how much study they've actually done. Points, you get points every day for playing. So this is an incentive to come in and play regularly. And I don't, right now, but there's no, it's Sunday, so nobody's online from the dev team, right? Or we could play with this group that we're in. It wouldn't be black if there were players online in my group, like the friends from my class or any people from my club that we all joined a particular group together. This would be green if there were more than 10 people online, and it would be yellow if there was more than 3 and less than 10, and it'd be black if there's nobody or less than 3 players on there, right? So I can try to see if there's a couple of players lurking. That's me. And then if there are other people, they'll pop into the room, and when it's full, a group battle would start, but they're not there. So groups is playing people that I know, and random is just playing with people all around the world, organized by rank. Solo is playing by myself, so I'll show you that. This is a game that's, you saw the score, right? It started with 600 words, now knows about 900 words. So these are very low words. But I'm studying it in English mode, which is, peculiar, but I'm doing that. Most teenagers become productive members of society. So I get it correct and I get to hit him. That was a closed sentence. Here is an oral question. And it's telling me here that I'm doing the English exams domain. If I get a mistake, I lose a heart. I must engage with the correct answer to move on to the next item. Time is wasting. Personal. That word personal will come back in the very next battle session because I've just lost it. So the theory is you're giving them a chance to correct their mistakes as quickly as possible while it's meaningful for them. So I'll just leave this battle early. I'm not going to win because I bailed, so I'm defeated. I won't get any rewards. I can battle again, or I can see the study report. I can focus on my incorrect words. Some of this would be in Japanese if I was in Japanese mode, but I'm in English mode. Personal. Can listen to it again. Personal. Can switch it to Japanese definition or English learner's definition. I'm not sure if how interesting that is. Yep.
We have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. There are collocations. There's an example sentence. There's some data on how I've done with this word in the past. I've gotten it correct 60% of the time. And where it is right now in the spaced repetition, and I missed it, so it's ready to be reviewed immediately. And I can battle again or go back to the home screen. Each game has this goal setting system for daily goals and weekly goals. So I got 4 correct responses out of my target of 100. If I hit the goal, which I always do, I get 8 crystals. I can use my crystals to get more stuff, like stronger weapons. And I do that by going to the temple. And in the temple, there are these collections of weapons. I donate crystals to rebuild the broken temple. And yeah, there's a good one. See, so I've got 3 of those so far. So the attack power is getting more powerful as I acquire more of them. All right, I'm going to log off there. And kind of ran longer than I hoped, but I think that was pretty cool. You got to see a lot of the game.
Guy, just really quick, it's just about out of time, but you have 2 questions you might want to address. One from Bonnie was asking for the web address for the app, and another for your email address so they can contact you from Ellie. So
okay.
You just might want to do that before everybody logs off.
Okay, I'm going to put my email address in there. Thank you, Charlie. That's my email address, and definitely hit me up to be a beta tester with us. And then what was the other one, Charlie? The web address.
One is for the web address for the app, and one is your email address.
Okay, so first is my email address, gcihi@lexica.co.jp, and then the app is website is, you can just type in free words and monsters and you'll find us, or words and monsters will probably bring us up. Teach the search engine to find us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to stay a little longer. There's usually a gap of 30 minutes between. So anyone wants to ask any questions about it, or?
Okay, so I'll just round it up. And thank you everyone for coming. It's a really fun app and I'm really looking forward to the launch for this. I think I'm gonna sign up on the website to be informed. And thank you everyone for coming. So let us give Guy a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will be leaving this room. The next presenter is at 3:30, so I'll be back at 3:20. In the meantime, I'm going to stop recording and you can go ahead and use this space or you can go to the social room. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Herb.
guys. See you, everyone.
Yeah, if anyone wants to stay and talk, please. After spending so many years